have been called complete jokes, even laughingstocks of the election. Candidates caught without answers, understanding, or even background. In case you missed some of the most memorable moments, here's what I'm talking about.
Please detail your deficit reduction priorities. We'll start with Mr.
Could you say that again, please?
Please detail your deficit reduction priorities.
Detail my deficit reduction priorities. I'm not sure I know what you mean by that.
We have cut the budget, we have balanced the budget, and we are moving forward. We have done everything that we could possibly do. We have did what was right for Arizona.
What's the minimum wage in Florida, Mr. Scott?
$7.55.
Ms. Sink, is that right?
Yes.
$7.25. Close.
What opinions of late that have come from our high court do you most object to?
Oh, gosh. Give me a specific one. I'm sorry.
Actually, I can't because I need you to tell me which ones you object to.
I'm very sorry right off the top of my head. I know that there are a lot, but I'll put it up on my website.
But here could be possibly an even more eye-opening issue. Some of these candidates could actually win. Candidates desperately clinging to their talking points, seemingly unwilling or unable to come up with thoughtful or spontaneous ideas of their own. And for some, they're just simply unaware of the issues, even the law. Bottom line, could this go down as one of the most unpolished midterm elections we've ever seen? Let's bring in GOP strategist Princella Smith and Columbia University professor Marc Lamont Hill. So, Marc, are these candidates strong enough, or does it even matter anymore?
Well, absolutely they are not strong enough. There's a whole slew of candidates who clearly 5 years ago wouldn't even be viable, yet somehow they've made it to the top of their party's ballots. And the reason is because voters are very frustrated. But sadly, it doesn't matter because people like Christine O'Donnell, who probably won't win today, still becomes viable because voters don't care about facts anymore many times. They're voting and basing their decisions on their frustrations around the economy and around just the slew of lies being presented by the right.
Now, Princella, we always love to see a new, fresh face out there with new ideas. I mean, heck, you tried to become America's youngest member of Congress at the age of 26 and did very well. But, you know, are novice politicians like these dangerous?
Well, you know, I think you bring up a very interesting point, and I think the problem with this is it's multifaceted. Certainly, this is not the first time that a candidate has been caught in a public appearance and somehow, you know, forgot their talking points or their lines. I certainly understand what it feels like to be going all day and all of a sudden feel like your brain froze up. Fortunately, that hasn't happened to me on camera. What we have now is a 24/7 media cycle. You've got social networking. You've got almost anything as an image capturing device. And so unfortunately now, if you mess up or if you say something weird, it's all over the internet in 20 seconds. Now, I will say this. Dr. Hill has a very important point. In both parties, I've seen people skyrocket to the top of the ticket, and clearly they have no business being there. And like I said, right now with the type of media that we have, you get exposed for it. I'll talk about myself here for a second. I was 26, just had a birthday, so now I'm 27. Fortunately, what I did for a living was political communications, and so one of my former bosses, Newt Gingrich, taught me when you try to memorize talking points, that's kind of when you get in trouble. You need to be able to speak from the heart, and you need to be able to understand genuinely what you're saying. And that's when you see those moments like what you saw, a lot of those people were just spouting talking points, and that's kind of what America is sick of.
Well, what's interesting, though, is that, Marc, these candidates are running on voter anger, voter frustration, you know, a government that voters are sick of. And now you have, you know, these individuals that can't, that don't even have the understanding or the information to answer the question. So would we even see candidates like this if we didn't have such voter anger and frustration?
Absolutely not. First of all, whenever you have one party with almost complete control of the government, you're going to see a radical shift in the next election cycle, and that's what you're seeing right now. It's sort of a natural ebb and flow of politics. But when you combine that with a really desperate economy right now, high jobless rates, people want change, and there's something romantic about, you know, the bumbling country bumpkin or some otherwise political outsider who then comes into Washington and makes sweeping change. But the problem is, this isn't a movie. In real life, you have to then go in and govern, and if you don't know what's in the First Amendment, if you don't know what the unemployment rate is or what the minimum wage is in your state, you're in big trouble. These are like the political versions of like boy bands, you know, where they're kind of propped up and people kind of make them, you know, some political hack makes them, and then they get into the real world and they can't hang. It's a bad idea.
But they look good, you know. They
look great. They're very pretty.
They got their moves down. They're very pretty. Exactly. Well,
exactly.
You know, what they've been doing isn't so pretty. And so I'm curious, is this good for our nation right now? Because if they win, what does that tell us about the Obama administration? What does that, well, you know, what kind of message does it send?
It's kind of hard to answer this in one fell swoop. Obviously, there's a couple of candidates that have been caught on camera in these weird moments who, I know that they're qualified. Like I said, sometimes you're just tired. You really are, and you just have a brain lapse. But to these people who Marc Lamont Hill was referring to that are just, you know, soaring to the top of the ticket and don't really have much substance, I will say this. I think the Democrats had this problem in 2008 when many people swept in kind of on the coattails of President Obama, and now you see they're being swept out because of the frustration of the American people. And I will warn my own party, the Republican Party, that they should heed to Senator McConnell's warning when he said, listen, you know, we're going to take these wins very humbly, and we're going to tread lightly, and we're going to come in here and present good ideas that are going to resonate with the American people. Because I'll tell you right now, just remember this day that we all said it. If 2012 rolls around here and underemployment is still 18.6% and unemployment is still at 10%, you'll see the same thing happening to Republicans. So, you know, again, this is multifaceted. This is not just, you can't just answer this with one, you know, straight answer of they're all unqualified.
Mark, final thought.
I think they are all unqualified. Not every Republican, but all the Republicans that we've listed today, you know, particularly Christine O'Donnell, she's kind of a case study of political unqualification, being you know, rushed to the top of a ticket because of voter anger and frustration. And if voters are wise today, they will make their decisions on either side of the ticket based on who has the substance, who has the knowledge base, and who has the ability and experience to make real change in Washington, not someone who comes from the outside and just has a new face. New faces don't always equal change. Sometimes you need to change drivers, but more importantly, you need to change direction.
Marc Lamont Hill, Princella Smith, great discussion, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
You can join the best political team on television as the final numbers come in. Our election